Hello there, my name is Camila Toro and I'm a strategist in the London office of VCCP, a global creative agency. You see, we live in a world that says turn your hobby into a business, and today I'll tell you why I think the complete opposite. Why is my skull dead? After my grandmother passed away in a very traumatic accident, I got really interested in the subject of death. Some of the research that I did led me to find various cultures across the planet that see death as a passage to another life. And as a result of this, they celebrate life through death. I got fixated on one element, the skull, the human bone, which has been a long-standing historic icon to symbolize death. I then found about the Day of the Dead in Mexico, which is a wonderful and colorful celebration that embodies what made me feel so drawn into the skulls in the first place, which is living life here and now. As a cathartic ritual to my recent loss, I started crafting skulls and decorating them with gems and rhinestones, with only one purpose in mind: to bring life to death. I started to find a creative flow to express how I was feeling and through this grief situation. And yes, you might be thinking about the British artist Damien Hirst, which is a big inspiration for me. The only difference is he used a real skull and real diamonds. One day my friend Guille came along to my house and he saw what I was doing. He saw my skulls and he asked if he could buy it from me. First I hesitated. I didn't know if I wanted to sell my creation, but eventually I did. Slowly, more people started to find out about my skulls. Friends, family, friends of friends, and I started selling more of the skulls. People around me were resonating with this element and this skull, and I wanted to keep on delivering that message of celebrating life and mortality. So on the journey of finding more elements, of more things I could do, I found a surprising number of ways of doing this. How about a chocolate skull? Wouldn't it be really cool to have temporary skull tattoos? How about a keychain and a jacket? As you can see, the idea started to snowball. Soon before I knew it, I had created a brand, which I named Viva la Calavera. Translates long live the skull, as an homage to life. I had an opportunity in my hands. I could start creating a small business and turning it to something bigger, which could really help me go through this grief situation and make sense of this inexplicable moment. I said to myself, if I'm going to turn my hobby into a business, I first need to address 3 simple things. Number 1, I need to create a business plan. Number 2, I had the product already. I could tweak the pricing a little bit. I needed a better placement and for sure a better promotion. And number 3, I needed more money. I needed more money to just invest in more of the materials and the products that I could sell. Not a long time passed before I faced a roadblock. I was encountering more of a problem than seeing the initial opportunity. I was failing to turn my hobby into a business. I was just confusing passion with purpose. And I'm going to tell you why. I moved from pleasure to pressure. Hobbies under nature and by definition are meant to be done for and by pleasure. And I was starting to apply way too much pressure on myself, to deliver. I had many things I needed to deal with before starting to make a real profit. Suppliers, materials, distribution, costs, profits, and honestly, the list only got bigger and bigger. I felt the pressure of having to deliver instead of just creating, which actually leads me to my next point. I went from purpose to product. When you're passionate about a hobby, time stops. You are in your own element. Think about it. When was the last time you did something you loved which made the minutes and the hours just fly past. The initial purpose of the skulls, the one of dealing with grief through the creative process, was being interrupted by the urgent need of creating a product, a sellable business plan. I was more concerned about how to make money than actually how to make the skulls. And that's ideal for a business, but not for a hobby. I went from feeling passionate to feeling or needing to feel productive. Hobbies aren't meant to be productive. And by productive, I mean to make a profit. That's really the point of a hobby. The passion I had for making my skulls was the meditation process of sticking one gem, one rhinestone next to the other. It was that process. And don't get me wrong, this can be the opposite in many cases. That's why you have wonderful craftspeople and you have websites such as Etsy where you can sell your lovely creations. For me, in my case, I was turning it into a productive action. I had to do it. I was removing the one factor that I enjoyed in the first place. So what was the solution, I hear you ask? I killed the skull. I didn't want to feel pressured while I was doing something I loved. I didn't want to feel trapped while I just wanted to flow. And I did not want to feel obliged to deliver. And just like that, 7 years after selling stuff through Instagram to family, to friends here and there, I bowed to the skull and let it rest in peace. We live in an era where everyone talks about turning your hobby into a business. People will tell you to have a profitable side project, to hustle, to make more money. Productivity sits in the pinnacle of our society. But I think that doesn't have to be always the case. I want to leave you with a few questions that you can ask yourself before you decide to turn your hobby into a business. Am I okay to feel pressured? Am I okay with having to be productive? And am I okay to have to make a profit? The point I'm trying to make here is the fact that creative hobbies shouldn't always be evolving into a business. Now, if you want to turn your hobby into a business, know which are the challenges you might face, and therefore you might know how to tackle them. Viva la Calavera is a brand I hold very close to my heart. Now you know why. Currently, I'm still in the search of how I can bring the skull back to life.